How do we move from goals to results? Results or no results? That is the question. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a Scrum Master or manager in possession of a team must be in want of results. I'll answer this historical question, goals to results, which has been torturing us, obviously, for centuries, by telling you two different stories, two different companies, both founded in the early 1900s. How did these companies pave their road to amazing results? One of the companies literally paved their road to success, and I'm not even joking. So here we go into the meat of the story. Granite Rock, the first story. It's an old company, over 100-year-old, founded in California, and it sells crushed gravel, concrete, sand, and asphalt. Picture their beginnings. Workers with sledgehammers, shovels, and wheelbarrows breaking, then loading the broken rock onto horse-drawn wagons to be taken to the railroad line. Take the company mentally. Through the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, the arrival of cars when street paving became a necessity, and so on. So, what happened to them? How did they pave their road from goals to results? A couple of decades ago, when the brothers Bruce and Steve Wolpert became co-presidents, they decided on a very big goal. They decided that they would give total customer satisfaction and achieve a reputation for service that would rival Nordstorm. This is not exactly a small, timid goal for a family-owned company whose employees are mostly, you can imagine, tough, sweaty workers operating quarries, and whose customers are mainly also tough, sweaty construction workers and contractors. So they would not be easily dazzled by slogans and speeches and so on. And those were not even in the cards because the two brothers were a rather quiet pair. So what did they do? How did they move from goals to actual results? How did they transform their thoughts, vision, goals into words, and then those words into actual actions that would satisfy their customers? The brothers decided to implement a radical new policy: short pay. What does it mean? At the bottom of every Granite Rock invoice, it reads, "If you are not satisfied for any reason, don't pay us for it. Simply scratch out the line item, write a brief note about the problem, and return a copy of this invoice along with your check for the balance." Now talk about radical, and talk about tackling real customer satisfaction to its core. Now, short pay is not a refund policy. Customers don't need to return the gravel or whatever else they have bought. They do not need to call and complain through incessant and interminable customer calls on hold and so on. The customer decides whether to pay and how much to pay for each item on their invoice according to their satisfaction level. Now talk about opening the door to possibilities, terrifying possibilities, aren't they? And yet, in the years since this short pay was implemented, it has had a very deep and very positive impact on Granite Rock. Whenever a customer of Granite Rock does not pay, it serves as a warning system, alarm bells, think Pavlovian conditioning, providing very difficult to ignore feedback about the quality of Granite Rock's products and services. It literally forces managers to stop and to track down the root causes of problems in order to prevent repeated short pay from that same customer. It is a signal to all customers and employees that this company is dead serious about customer satisfaction. These are not just words or slogans, thoughts, words, actions. That sequence that I was talking about in the previous video. These are not just words. These are words that are transformed into actions. Whenever the customer is not satisfied, he or she does not need to pay, or pays the amount that they feel corresponds to their satisfaction level. So the goals of the company do not stay at the level of words. We want to achieve customer satisfaction, or we care about you customers. No, it goes way deeper than that. It is implemented in action. How? Through this very abrasive mechanism of short pay. If you're not satisfied, you simply do not pay, or you only pay the amount that corresponds to your level of satisfaction. Abrasive mechanisms. And here is my seg into the second story I wanted to tell you about. It's the company 3M, which is famous for originally producing abrasive sandpaper. And they did use a very abrasive mechanism, just like granite rock, in order to transform their words and their slogans and big, hairy, audacious goals into action. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but first I would like to give some personality to this company because it's a very interesting one. It has very interesting beginnings. So it started as a small mining company, mining supposedly corundum, one of the toughest minerals, which is very abrasive, in order to produce sandpaper at the beginning of the 1900s. However, after investing all that money in all these quarries and mines, they discovered that they were not mining corundum, but another completely different chemical altogether. I forget the name. So they had to pivot and either file for bankruptcy or be saved and continue and persist. And they decided to continue and persevere and look at the incredible achievements and the incredible rankings they reached. Whether you know it or not, 3M is a very lucrative company, famous for inventing the post-it notes, Scotch tape, masking tape, less known examples such as reflective license plates and machines that replace the functions of the human heart during surgery. So quite advanced technologically. They invented the Scotch tape, and we do call it Scotch tape. The name actually stayed with us. The word, you could say, the term was invented and stayed with us. So what did this company do, and how did they commit to promote creativity? This was their goal. They wanted to promote creativity, innovation. As you can tell from what I've told you so far, they were a company that were not afraid to fail and then to move on and to continue and persevere in their pursuits for abrasive sandpaper or other materials. So in 1956, 3M instituted very powerful mechanism that is well known now. Scientists are urged to spend 15% of their time inventing in the area of their own choice. So no one is told which products they should work on, just how much to work on it, 15% of their time. They actually discovered that a lot of the scientists in the 50s were working on all sorts of new interesting discoveries at their benches during their lunchtime. So they saw a lot of potential in that. They saw that scientists naturally are creative and eager to discover new, interesting things for us to use, like Scotch tape, post-it notes, and replacements machines for heart surgery during the surgery. So they were given the freedom to use the materials and the infrastructure of the labs at work to create their own things. So a company that promotes creativity. Usually we hear it, oh, we are committed to promote creativity and innovation in our company. You know, those big goals and words, visions and strategies and whatever you want to call them, do not transform into action. Yet 3M was committed to really promote creativity after seeing that their scientists wanted the freedom and the time and the resources to do so. So they gave them 15% of that time to experiment with their own products and imagination. Obviously, or not so obviously, 3M's sales and earnings have increased more than 40-fold since this rule, the 15% rule, was implemented. So it does work, but it's a mechanism with teeth, as Jim Collins puts it. And these two stories I actually took from his article, and mainly this video is inspired by his article on the power of catalytic mechanisms. It makes one think individually whether we are truly committed to whatever we are saying we are committed to. For example, as a parent, as a mother, and a person with a scientific background, I often think of myself as somebody who is very committed to promoting creativity and innovation in my household. Yet sometimes I don't feel like cleaning up the messes, or the inventions of my kids, and I do not feel like I want to commit a budget or resources or just simply my time to cleaning up the failed experiments of my little budding scientists. So yeah, words need to follow with actions. Goals, big, hairy, audacious goals, must follow with actions, with giving the resources, the time, the freedom, or at least some freedom, to the people that from whom we are, let's say, expecting creativity and innovation. Likewise, if we are so committed to customer satisfaction, we probably need to have some very strong mechanisms in place, probably mechanisms with teeth that that would promote that customer satisfaction, like in the case of Rock Granite, the company I talked about earlier. And since we're talking about teeth, the least scary teeth, I would say, are the customer satisfaction surveys. What do we do with them afterwards as companies? On a similar note, what do we do with our feedback from our children or from our acquaintances and so on when they give us feedback? Do we actually act on it? Do we have a mechanism of short pay in our relationships? And this brings me to the topic of the fact that there is a whole spectrum of companies, some of which have a very good alignment between their goals, words, and actions. And those are probably 5 to 10% of the companies in the world which have such catalytic mechanisms, which actually promote and basically they walk their talk. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there are companies like MLMs, pyramid companies, where there's very, very high discrepancy between goals, words, which are spoken to customers, and then actual actions, as we know. Well, I'm trying to bring it full circle here. Here's what I'm trying to say. If I personally, individually, am not able most of the time to transform my own big, audacious goals related to health, related to my physical, emotional health, to the health of my family, into actual results, what's the likelihood that me, as an employee in a company, will be able to transform a company's goals into results, into positive results? Take lots of average me's and sum them together with all our inabilities to transform consistently our goals, our individual crucial goals related to health and so on, into results, and put all these individuals together in a company culture which is going to be formed around the same, right? Unless the company itself has some strong catalytic mechanisms to promote whatever goals they're trying to promote into actions, we as individuals who do not care enough even about our own health, crucial thing that it is, how are we going to collectively care about a company's goals?